This mansion right here has finally sold for a massive $152 million, and that makes for the most expensive lakefront mansion to have ever sold in all of Palm Beach. Some of you guys probably recognize it. This house is located at 10 Tarpon Isle. It's about as good as you're gonna get. The place has 21,000 square feet of living space, and it's sitting on a 2.25 acre private island with 1,300 feet of water frontage. This property is literally the definition of a trophy property. We have talked about the Tarpon Isle property once in the past, but this was like a really little feature back when it was first listed for sale. Now that the place has officially sold, I think that it deserves an entire episode dedicated to it. Today we'll get into the listing and the photos, we'll look at who developed this incredible property, we'll talk about the backstory of the island, and we'll check out some other Palm Beach houses that have sold in this $150 million range over the last couple of years. So here's the Zillow listing. This is something that's almost unbelievable to look at. Sold for $152 million. That's not something you see on Zillow every day. In the listing description, they start by calling this a one-of-one private island. And they're right, there's no other private island like this in all of Palm Beach right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if there never will be again, so this place really is one of one. It is a newly completed compound. It was a remodel, we'll get into that in a minute. The place comes with 2 private docks, a 98-foot south-facing pool, and it's got all kinds of bells and whistles. We'll take a look at more of that stuff here in a second when we look at the photos. But let's go down here and check out the price history real quick before we get into the photos. So the guy bought this place, the developer, he bought it for $85 million in 2021. He almost immediately relisted it for sale for $125 million. He changed the price a couple of times. He went up to $210 and then he went up to $218. I don't know why he had such a crazy change of heart. The price literally went up almost $100 million over the course of a year. But then a year after hitting the $218 million number, he dropped it to $187 million, and that's when we saw the thing go pending before it finally sold for $152. Onto the pictures. This one here just shows us how insane this property is. We got a private bridge that takes you over to the house. We got the dock over here. The house itself is just massive. There's your view if you're driving over that bridge. I guess it's a one-way street. Here's the backyard all lit up at night. The front yard, really nicely landscaped. I'm gonna guess, since remember this was a remodel, a lot of these more mature trees were probably already here. In the main living room, you got these 2 seating areas with a fireplace, and you're looking right out to the water. I'm guessing this is probably like the dining room or maybe a breakfast nook. They show us the outdoor kitchen before the inside kitchen, but check out this countertop. It's kind of like a blue marble. And here's a picture of that huge pool. You got the little waiting area here, the main pool over on the left, and then there's actually a spa right next to it. In case you need to take a seat while you're waiting on your boat or your yacht, you can hang out right here. All right, now we're inside to the main kitchen. Lots of marble in here. And flipping over this direction, of course you got a view of the water from the kitchen too. It might look a little tight, but remember they were a bit restricted. This was a remodel, plus check it out. There's a chef's kitchen behind the main kitchen. There's a lot of these bay windows throughout the house. This is the office. Really cool finishes throughout this place. I love when people use bold wallpaper. I love the floating vanity. Not all of the ceilings are vaulted like this, but you got really high ceilings in the master. And then speaking of the master, check out the master bathroom. So we did look at this during a video I made like 6 months ago or something when this place was first listed for sale. It is completely covered in marble in every direction. How epic is this? It's actually pretty incredible. All this marble is booked match. I've never seen marble door and drawer fronts on cabinets before like this. It had to have taken so much time and so much money to pull this off. Outside you have a tennis court, which is lighted. I read that's pretty special and pretty unusual to have a lighted tennis court in Palm Beach. Of course, the bridge that takes you over to your island is gated, so you're not gonna have a bunch of randoms driving up. There's garage parking for 6 cars in here. I'm gonna call out one thing that came up a bunch in the comments when I made my last video about this place. Everyone was freaking out talking about like how the sea levels are rising or how one hurricane comes along and this place is gonna get wiped out. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know much about this topic. Let me know what you guys think this time. Do you think this place will eventually be underwater, or is the new owner pretty safe? Last, they show us a bunch of photos of what I think is the guest house with a guest pool. It comes, of course, with its own kitchen area, its own workout room. There's a little game room in here with a pool table and a wet bar. Let's put it this way. This house basically has everything you ever need and then some. If you buy this place, I mean, you can get your hair cut here. You're probably gonna have a butler and a private chef and all that stuff. you never really have to leave. If you buy this island, you could bunker down here and just stay here indefinitely if you wanted to. Now, 10 Tarpon Isle is one of those types of properties that deserves its own website. I mean, when you're a listing agent and you're selling a $200 million property, the least you can do is create a website for that property. The thing is though, not everybody has the skills to build a website, but thanks to the sponsor of today's episode, Durable, building a website has become easier than ever. You can do it with no coding or design skills. Durable is a website building platform that uses AI to help you create an online presence for your business. And with their platform, you can build a website in as little as 30 seconds. And I'm not even exaggerating, you guys. Some of you know that I started a short-term rental management company this year, and I wanted a website for the company, so I went to Durable to just see if I could use them to create a website for this new business of mine. I literally went to Durable's website. I gave them just a few pieces of information. I told them my business name, I told them where I was located, and then I plugged in what type of business I'm in. This is the website that was spit out, you guys, in less than 30 seconds. It's got a home page, it's got an about page. There's a bunch of other really professional looking sections on here. It was perfect for me to just basically go in and give it my little finishing touch. If you're an entrepreneur or just anybody who needs a website built quickly and easily, go to durable.co/Scott to build your website for free. When you're ready to publish it, make sure you use my code SCOTT30 for 30% off your first 3 months on any plan. Thank you to Durable for sponsoring this portion of today's episode. Back to the video. Now here's my favorite part about a story like this. It's like, okay, yeah, this house is nice and it's cool, and yeah, it sold for a really big price, but what I really wanted to know was, how exactly did this house and island end up here to begin with? So check it out, this is legit. I found this website, Palm Beach Social Diary. They basically give us everything we need to know about the history of this house and this island. This is what the house looked like before Todd Michael Glazer got his hands on it. There's a lot of stuff that happened between like 1923 and 1937 as this whole area was being developed. There's quite a few historical photos that show us kind of what things used to look like around here. And there was one company in particular who was responsible for working with the city to take over this land, make it possible to develop, and then put a bunch of waterfront houses here. After those surrounding areas were developed and kind of brought up to buildable standards, in December of 1938, Tarpon Island was filled, bulkheaded, and then a bridge was built at that time to access the island, which was initially intended for 2 houses. And check it out, this is what the house looked like in 1945. So the original house is over here on the, I think this would be the east side of the island, bunch of grass over on this side. All this looks pretty bare, but this is actually a golf course that's still there to this day. Look. So if you go on Google, so you can see, so here's the island, here is the golf course that's still over there. And if we zoom in, this is actually a construction aerial shot. So the original old house is still over here on that side of the island. And then this is the new building pad getting started for what Todd built. I guess in 1981, they upgraded the bridge and the entrance and added these lampposts. And this one's not all that long ago. This was 2019. The house looked like this. So it's kind of similar to what it looks like today. It was just a different color. Here's another view of the house. It doesn't look like that at all anymore. This section might have been demolished. There's all kinds of history about who this place was owned by over the years. In 1946, it was sold for $150,000 to a longtime resident of the area, John Hopkins. In 1948, I guess there was a tiger named Tilly that was living on the island that at one point escaped and freaked all the locals out. After this whole tiger situation, the house was actually foreclosed on and it sold to some other guy for $115,000 this time. A few decades had passed and the island sold again in 1979 for $2.3 million. So I think this is about when people started to really understand the value of this place. Over the next 20 or so years, the house was used for a bunch of entertaining and parties. It was the source of some controversy for sure. It sold again though for $7.6 million in 1998. Anyways, the house was sold to this guy, Todd Michael Glazer, in 2021. He's the one who paid $125 million for the place. Most of you guys probably have heard of Todd before. He's a developer and an owner's rep. He grew up in the Miami Beach area. He actually started in this business working for a fire sprinkler company, and he ended up working on a bunch of really big commercial properties that kind of taught him everything that he needed to know about construction and development. Nowadays, I mean, if you look at the completed projects section of his webpage, it is unbelievable. Just check out some of these places that he's done. Mostly luxury single-family residential stuff, but there's some commercial stuff sprinkled in here as well. And those were the completed projects we just had pulled up. These are all the rendered projects that are currently under construction. This guy's busy. If you guys are into this kind of stuff, make sure you're following Todd Michael Glazer on Instagram. On this post, I wanted to call out too that he shouts out his wife. I guess she was actually the one who designed all those interior finishes at Tarpon Isle. The Tarpon Isle property is great, and it's gonna hold a record of its own in this region, probably forever, but there's quite a few other properties in this Palm Beach region that have sold at some really high price points over just the last couple of years. Like last year, the owners of the Green Mountain Coffee Company sold 589 North Country Road to a luxury car dealer. He paid $170 million for this oceanfront Mediterranean home. Rush Limbaugh's old estate, located at 1495 North Ocean Boulevard, sold for $155 million back in 2023. This was an off-market deal for the 2.7-acre property and was a heck of a lot more than the $3.9 million that Limbaugh paid for the property in 1998. Talk about a return on investment. Ken Griffin is in the process of building a $1 billion mega mansion, which we've talked about here on the channel before. That one is probably still a few years away from being finished though. And then if you go on Zillow, you guys, you can see it just never ends. I mean, we've got a place for $150 million up for sale right now, $89 million, another $89 million. Some of this is just land, $75 million for this 1.2 acre lot. And if I zoom in, I mean, you guys will see just all up and down this strip, you've got 20 million, 40 million, 45 million, 29 million, 55 million. You wanna live anywhere on this tiny little stretch of Palm Beach, you're gonna be living in one of the most expensive pockets in the entire world. Before we go, I just want to show you guys a few clips from this YouTube video that Eric Conover did. I think he might have been one of the only real estate agents who did a full walkthrough of this house and put it up on YouTube, and the video turned out pretty awesome.
This is what $218 million buys you in Palm Beach, Florida.
That's a good drone shot.
Who do you think the buyer will be? I don't want to say anything. The people who are buying this home have donated this amount of money. They bought artwork. Is it that expensive to spend $218 million on a home if you've bought a piece of artwork that expensive?
Good point. This is the same thought process that Niall Niemi had when he was talking about selling the one. It's like, oh, people spend a couple $100 million on a yacht or on a private jet, or people spend all that kind of money on art. Sure, yeah, that's true. But there's something different about real estate. I think if you're putting your money into fine art or a private jet, which is something that you get to use all the time, or a yacht that takes you all over the place, that's one thing, but a physical piece of real estate that's just stuck in one physical location all the time, I don't know. I think that the market has proven to us that the people who spend $200 million on a yacht aren't necessarily going to spend $200 million on a house.
Imagining who's going to drive over that bridge and walk in and say, this is my new home.
The island measures in at 2.2 acres of land, located in the intercoastal waterway of Palm Beach.
I don't think I've ever been this excited to share a home with you on my channel. Welcome to the island. So you enter over your own private bridge where you have security there out front. It is the only private island in Palm Beach. Little perspective here. All these homes around us are going for at least 40, 50, 60 million dollars.
When you look at it like that, it's like, okay, if all the houses around here are going for 50 million, 200 million doesn't sound all that bad. I mean, you get a house that's probably twice the size of those homes, and it comes with an island.
Off to my side here, that's the original structure, and all this was added on. Off of the motor core, there is a 5-car garage.
So yeah, maybe it was a remodel technically on paper, but this is basically a new build.
You have this open concept room. It's the gray room / dining room, but I'm gonna take you to what you probably clicked on in this video for. The whole wall of this space opens up, leading out to your loggia, where you have a view of your 98-foot-long swimming pool with hot and cold plunge at either end, views of the intercoastal, palm trees. I mean, you are in Palm Beach, Florida, and you're standing on a $218 million island.
No doubt, that moment right there is what this house is all about. That's why the buyer ultimately ended up buying this place. That's why this place is worth $200 million. If you guys want to go see more of Eric's video, check it out. The whole tour is amazing. It's 18 minutes long. It's already got 6 million views. So I'm not going to spoil it for you here. Just go check it out if you want to see more of this house. Unfortunately, we don't know who ended up buying 10 Tarpon Isle. The Palm Beach Daily News says that the deed shows the buyer to be MCI Properties LLC, but this is a Delaware-based LLC, so there's really no way of figuring out who's behind it. Wouldn't be a bad place to call home though, that's for sure, so congrats to the buyer. That's a wrap for today's episode, you guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button down below, and don't forget to hit subscribe as well if you want to see more real estate videos just like this one every week. I'll see you guys next time.